Welcome to Closing Time with Jeff West. I am a local real estate agent in Elgin County and St. Thomas. And today, my guest is Mayor Grant Jones, the mayor of Southwold Township, where I actually live in Southwold Township. He was first got into politics in 2003 and was elected in 2014 as the mayor of Southwold. And he's also served as the warden in Elgin County in 2017 and then again in 2025. Welcome, Grant.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on, Jeff.
Yeah, there's lots going on right now in Southwold Township, that's for sure. A lot of growth.
Yes.
What are the biggest opportunities and challenges that you see that are going on with that growth?
Opportunities to see small business being able to thrive in Southwold, I think has been a challenge because of the lack of population. But now that we're seeing growth in our population, it's going to be easier for small business to survive and thrive in Southwold. And that's very exciting. Industry, too, with the challenges of all the servicing for industry, we're starting to get our heads wrapped around that. We have a plan for that, and it'll be exciting to see about 1,500 acres of industrial land start to move.
Yeah. What are some of the new residential developments that are currently planned or underway? I know there's some in Shedden and other parts of Southwold.
Yeah. Shedden, obviously the first two are the DHP development, which is called Shedden Meadows, and the Domus property that just or Domus lands was just rezoned, and they're working through draft plan of subdivision right now. And for Shedden, that's the first two. One on the north side is a little further back. They're probably another year away before we start to see anything push on that one. Fingal, we have about three that are in the submission process in various stages. And Talbotville, the second stage of the fire subdivision, Talbotville Meadows, is about to go online as well. And those are the main ones right now. Well, I should say North Port Stanley, which is the Turtle property that Domus owns as well. They have streets in. They're looking at site plan right now to finish up there, and Redwood property on Thomas Line as well. I think there's about 6 or 8 homes going in there that they have full approval now, and they're starting to push dirt.
Wow. Now, how many homes do you anticipate are going to be built in Southwold over like the next 5 years?
The next 5 years, you know what? I've been wrong before because during COVID, when we saw the massive push, we thought we'd have a lot more homes by now. But after COVID and the last little bit of a recession, the Talbotville Shedden or Talbotville Meadows has been not moving very quickly. And we'd hoped it would have moved a little quicker, and it has. They've changed the business model a bit lately, and we're thinking that this with the application they just put in, that things are going to start to move again in Talbotville, which we would have hoped a long time ago. But so I'm guessing in the next 5 years, between Talbotville, Fingal, Shedden, and North Port Stanley, could be a couple hundred homes.
Oh,
I don't want to be over optimistic anymore, because I think that's realistic.
Yeah. Now, do you know what type of homes are going in? Are they single family, townhouses, rental units, seniors housing?
All the above. With the DHP property, that was owned by the township, so we had very specific goals. It was a competitive bid process where not necessarily the highest bid won. It was what they were proposing as well. And DHP has a good mix. In the center of the property is mostly townhomes. Around the outside, there's especially on the conservation lands on the one side are single detached. So it's quite a good variety. Domus, their proposal includes a small apartment building in the middle to start, and maybe a second one down the road with two-story, two-story semis, duplexes, some single-story as well. Those are most likely going to be as a condo corporation. The apartment building will be rentals.
Okay.
So it's something we've always wanted. We've needed it for a long time to keep seniors in our area when they decide to downsize and find something, I wouldn't say more affordable, but more easy to manage. So it's very exciting what we're seeing happening. It's exactly what we wanted. Their proposal won, and it'll be very happy when this is happening, because it's been so long since this, like when I started politics, this is what people were saying. I want someplace to retire. I want someplace where my kids can come back after education and start a family. and we're finally able to do it.
Yeah. And well, driving through Shedden now, clearly not everyone is excited about the pace of growth in Southwold. What are the concerns that you're hearing from residents, and how is council addressing those issues?
Yeah, so I understand what they're saying. I've lived here all my life, 6 generations deep now. My family is history in Southwold, and that growth is inevitable. It's happening. The province and the federal government have both said that we're going to grow. The amount of money that's being put into the local area between London, St. Thomas, and even Southwold, we've got over $50 million in grants. And
yeah.
So they're serious about it. And, I know they're concerned about the small town feel. I don't think that's going to change. If you look at other towns that have seen the growth that we're going to see, like Ilderton, Lucan, Mount Bridges, Kamulka, those types of towns, they still have that small town charm, right? When you drive through, you don't notice a lot of difference because the subdivisions are a little bit out of sight from the main intersection, and concerns about the parkland being not big enough. Well, Southwold has more parkland per capita than any other community in the area, including St. Thomas. If you go back, we have a lot of park space. There's concern they lost green space. Well, with the Domus and DHP proposals, we're actually increasing green space, not losing green space. Walkability, we're creating a community down the road that's going to be walkable. We're going to have walking paths that will connect to the new conservation authority, the Five Maples Conservation Area. A walking path right from Fingal to Shedden. And so I think a lot of the concerns are, for lack of a better term, I think they aren't quite right. I think yes, it's going to be busier, but our strategic plan says, and this is 3 plans deep, that said we want business, we want a pharmacy, which we have now. We want a restaurant, which we have now, a small one, but it's still a restaurant. We want a grocery store. Well, that comes with growth. And you have to have the growth before the grocery store comes. So I think the direction we're going is the proper direction. And if the local residents want to see it stay the same, it isn't going to stay the same per se, but if they decide to help with this growth and just guide us as to how we manage the growth, I think that would go a long ways, and just be involved in the planning process. We have a strategic plan that'll be coming up after the election. Growth isn't going to stop. You can't stop it, but you can get on board and try and make it work to what you think it should be.
Yeah. And I understand like exactly what you're saying. I have a little bit of empathy because where I am, I'm right on Talbot Line, and the views in my backyard right now is Andrews Farms. Yeah. So that's what I'm looking at. And I'm just waiting for the call saying that there's going to be development going on behind us at some point, which I'm sure potentially can happen, but we still do have a lack of housing, which we'll talk a little bit more about later on as we go. Now, one of the things that is clearly needed is the wastewater treatment plant in order to get all that development going, and it's generated significant discussion. Where does that project currently stand?
Okay, so the majority of the main line is done in Shedden. They're finishing up on the north side, but once that's done, Shedden will be done for the most part for now anyway. Fingal, I don't know if you tried to get through Fingal, but yeah, it's a disaster area right now. And yeah, with our contractor coming in a little later than we had hoped, hasn't helped matters, but they've got 2 crews working right now. They proposed 3. We kind of ixnayed that one because we just didn't think Fingal could cope with 3 different crews working at the same time. So that's an ongoing project, hopefully done late this year. Then the county starts over next year to do the rehabilitation of the intersection of Fingal. And so Fingal's going to be under construction for another year at least. The plant itself, it's about half constructed. Everything in the ground has been done. The buildings are coming up above ground with the EQ tanks, and the headwaters off. Also, the office that they'll have, they're all under construction. They're supposed to be done early next spring. DHP, they're planning on starting to put foundations in shortly. We have the approval to pump. It'll go to the station. It's not fully operational, but be able to pump and transfer it to Talbotville. We have that approval. You have to have enough certain number of homes to get the facility up and running too. So we have to build homes before it's actually ready to go. So.
Okay. Yeah, I had a couple of properties. Well, I had 5 properties on Union Road last year that I was trying to sell, and it wasn't easy with the road closure and all that stuff that's going on. And I know that at the end of Fingal, or the end of Union Road by Fingal line there, it still was closed off. I tried to drive down there the other day and almost made it to the end.
Almost.
And then I had to turn around and go back. I didn't realize it was closed right off.
Yeah.
But yeah, for sure. And what are the concerns in regards to the residents with that plant?
Concerns about the plant itself? I don't think a lot of concerns. Obviously, there's a lot of people happy about it too. When we had our gay sessions for the plant itself and the construction of the main lines, we had a map up and people were able to put a red pin or a green pin on their property in the existing towns that either you want wastewater down your street or you don't. And Shedden was about 6% in favor of it. Bengal was a little less than just over 50% that wanted it, because we do know we have issues. It's very noticeable if you walk to Bengal or Shedden after rain in the summertime that there is an issue. And
yeah.
So we're trying. I think for the most part, people are happy that eventually they'll be able to hook up to a sewer, as streets have to be redeveloped in Bengal and Shedden. Well, most likely run the lines down at that time. It makes sense because once that street's done, it's going to be done for 60 years, right? So
okay,
you pretty much have to do it now or
yeah.
you're not.
So, and this is just on a personal note, because when I purchased my property 15 years ago, my wife grew up in the house and we've always been on septic where we are. Are there sewers that are going to be coming down Talbot Line into Talbotville?
I don't see it in the future. At some point, probably, because obviously there's developers who have bought land west of you.
Yep.
So eventually, depending on how the engineers work it out where the line goes, but in the future, I don't think it's the near future, but who's to say it in 10 years down the road?
Yeah. Well, if somebody buys the property behind me, they'll certainly have to be running sewers back in there, I would think. But yeah, fingers crossed. Yes. So the big concern right now for everybody provincially and probably nationally right now is affordability. Housing affordability is a huge challenge. What role can municipalities play in helping address these issues with affordability? Yeah,
a lot of it's land price, and we don't have a lot of control over land price because that's consumer driven. The developers, they drive that price for the most part. Supply and demand as usual. I know the Far East subdivision, Talbot Meadows, prices there are fairly significant, and they need to come down before they start selling again. I think most of their contractors walked away from the project because of the cost.
I've heard that too, Grant. There's a lot of builders that work from London that came in to build the initial phase, and a lot of those developers have said no.
Yeah, but I know with the DHP, the townhomes in the middle of the project, we had a lengthy discussion with Dave last week, actually, with his official sod turn. Those prices home are around under 500,000. I think he quoted around 480, which in today's market, that's about as affordable as you're going to get. We're looking at roughly 200,000 per lot, I guess, something like that. So as affordable, that's about as affordable as it gets. Homes across the road. We haven't heard prices for them, but I'm sure they'll be comparable.
Yeah, it's interesting now. The HST rebate on the new builds has certainly strengthened the build for builders. It's really helped them out, but it has really, really hurt residential resale. It's causing a lot of issues because a lot of people are now saying, well, why would I buy that house for $850 and I can build a brand new one myself? And then those people that are living in a home that's 5 years old, they just can't sell.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. So it's a bit of a struggle, but hopefully I'm meeting with Rob Flack in a couple of weeks. We're doing a podcast and, I want to talk a little bit to him about the HST rebate and what's going to happen next year. And, I think it's going to be a struggle to only do this for 1 year for the builders anyway.
Yeah, I know. We had that discussion with Rob a week ago, same day we done DHP. And at that point, they're still waiting for the feds to approve it, their share. I don't know if that happened before they rose. Hopefully it did.
Yes, I believe it's gone through now.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So you would think that a program like that is a multi-year program. 1 year won't make a difference, really.
No, and I think for those people, especially these developers that are building in Southwold, those
Yeah.
houses might not be ready for a year. So if
Yeah.
these
The
HST rebates off,
Yeah.
it could change things. So hopefully they'll continue, either to continue the project or I don't know. I'm looking forward to that conversation. Now, have you noticed an impact already with PowerCo and the battery plant and kind of the regional growth as far as Southwold properties go?
Not really, because with Fingal and Shedden and Talbotville, it's been ongoing since we built the wastewater plant in Talbotville. A lot of the land is already locked up by developers even before PowerCo was announced. And Fingal and Shedden, once the news hit that we got $28 million for a wastewater plant, pretty much every property developable residential property in Fingal and Shedden are owned, or at least have somebody associated as a developer with all the properties. So we have 19 projects, like different pieces of parcels of land that have been identified, that have come and talked to our infrastructure team. Maybe it's just a first talk and get to know each other, but some are very, very serious. So it's going to be busy around here, and most of those happened with the announcement of the money, so it wasn't necessary power.
Yeah, yeah. Are you getting? There's a lot of developers interested in looking at Southwold.
Yes.
Oh, that's good. That's
Yes.
good. Yeah, you have some options for sure. Now, what kind of businesses are you hoping, like types of businesses are hoping will be attracted to Southwold over the next decade or so?
Well, obviously the Talbotville area is more about the industrial lands, harnessing, like, we took a big hit when Ford left, a huge hit, and we're starting to get our feet back under ourselves now. Amazon's helping. They act the perfect answer, but with the Brocklini there, with the rest of that property, working hard to try and sell parts of it. They've had a lot of good interest in the property. The problem is we don't have enough electricity. With PowerCo sucking all the electricity out of the area, that's a little short, and we're working with IESO to solve that problem. And Brocklini's actually interested in purchasing their own line over the main corridor, which is good news for their property, but doesn't help the rest of the 1,500 acres of industrial land that we have in Talbotville. So working through that process, the wastewater plant with the upgrades that we'll do in Talbotville with the $24 million we got last year will help solve that. We'll be able to service some industrial land off of that plant for whatever happens in the Talbotville area with the expansion. That really entices the development even more if they know all the services are there. We're hoping that that coincides with the availability of power in the future. There seems to be some movement with IESO and Hydro One that they understand that they need to get us power, and I know Minister Clark is doing his best to ensure that happens as well.
Good, yeah. Joe did talk about that as well when we talked about St. Thomas and the hydro concerns, which I don't know if that explains why we're having so many power outages lately. They seem to be constant.
Yes, they are. We were out of hydro just a couple of days ago for a while.
Yeah.
No explanation why, but
yeah. Well, how is the township working to support local businesses and farmers now?
Well, we have an economic development committee, and they meet once a month and with business owners in the community, and working hard to solve issues along with economic development from the county. It's a joint operation, and we work hard to support the business. We just 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago, we had a big event out at Nature's Oasis for West Elgin, Denton Dunwich, and Southwold, and we invited the other townships as well to come out, and just as a night of fellowship and getting to know each other and seeing what works for other people, and it was a great night and stuff like that. This is, I think, our EDC committee's been up and running about 12 years now, and we're the first municipality in Elgin County to do so, and people are starting to catch on that maybe this is something we have to do in conjunction with Elgin County's EDC as well.
Okay. Well, I don't know if you want to let the cat out of the bag or anything, but is there any major economic development projects that are in discussion that people might not be aware of?
Major ones, we've had a lot of tire kickers in Talbotville, but Hydro becomes the issue. Obviously, we have Marcel, who opened their doors about a year ago with selling all those really big bulldozers and what have you on Wonderland. And there is another company in site plan works near there. Can't mention the name yet, but
That's okay.
It's a small company, but it's a new company coming to Southwold. So
Good. Now, as the township starts to grow, what infrastructure projects become a priority? Talked a little bit about hydro. Yeah.
As we grow, I think we're right in the middle of it right now. The wastewater was the biggest one. Eventually, Talbotville, we have to solve some issues there, and with the money we have, we're working with the province on how we're going to do that right now. That's the funny thing about grants. They give you about 4 or 5 weeks to submit a grant for a major project covering millions and millions of dollars. And we really didn't expect to get money for Talbotville yet because of the money we got in Shedden and Fingal. And we applied and we got pretty much what we asked for. And it was just that the staff threw something together really quick and without a whole lot of thought behind it. And then after we got the money, we said, well, we maybe should have done this. We maybe should have done that. So we went and saw the minister, our local MPP, and said, listen, we have to maybe redesign this a little bit because you rushed us too much and didn't put enough thought into it. And we're working through it right now with them. And it's going to be a positive outcome, but it's just stalling the project a little bit because we weren't quite ready when we made the application.
Okay. Well, it would be really nice in Talbotville to see some form of strip mall somewhere. Even now, just to, get groceries and, we're driving into St. Thomas, which is, it's not a big deal. It's 10 minutes, but, it would be nice to have something accessible and close for sure.
Yeah. And there are lands designated commercial in Talbotville, and Safari has one piece just down the road from you.
Okay.
Right along the edge of the road there, where on the other side of their new entrance from the houses, they just they pushed the street in for. So right across the road, that's commercial.
Oh, okay.
Also on GL Group's parcel south of Talbotville, just south of the fire hall, they have some commercial property there too as well. So it is possible. It's just a matter of somebody coming in and doing it, and I think. You see the growth. There should be lots of opportunity. Fingal and Shedden, DHP and their property has proposed a small strip mall, and we're in discussions of what that would look like because we want to keep that small town feel, and we just don't want it to look like a strip mall. And also, they have options on the property on the corner, which was the old library, and where it was. That'll be knocked down at some point, and he has a proposal on the table for that, for some commercial underneath and some residential above. So there are opportunities. It's just a matter of finding the right person to come in and help out.
Now, do you see traffic being an issue with the new housing development going up in Southwold, or just not enough homes?
No, the traffic studies, our roads are fairly light as far as traffic volumes right now. Fingal is getting signals, light signals, at the intersection, only because they're tearing it all up and it'll be another 60, 80 years before they do it again. So now is the time to do it, to save cutting new pavement down the road. So, and whenever they come down top line and through Shedden, the county has plans to do that in the next few years, and I'm sure signals will go in Shedden as well at that time. As far as volumes, it's not a very big concern right now. We're very light on traffic counts before anything really serious has to be discussed.
That's good. So let's talk a little bit about the quality of life in Southwold Township. I love being in Southwold. I love the services in Southwold. I love when inspections are needed to be done. They're done pretty quickly as compared to some other municipalities. What makes Southwold Township unique compared to other communities in Southwestern Ontario?
Well, obviously, the rural area, we're predominantly rural, and most of the staff that we have understand that. Well, they also understand that. Most of them come from rural areas as well, and we have a small staff that when you walk in the office, whoever you want to talk to, if they're in, because not always are they in, but they're within about a 50-foot radius, so it's not hard to find somebody to talk to and get the right answers. And they work very hard at solving issues the best they can. Sometimes you don't get the answer you want to hear, but we'll do our best to bend over backwards to make things happen. With our council, we have a very progressive council. It's, I would say, probably one of the best councils I've worked with these past 4 years of it. Pleasure. There's not everybody agreeing all the time, but we all, once we decide what we're doing, everybody pulls the rope in the same direction, and that really helps a whole lot with moving things forward. And as far as the local area, a lot of parkland with the announcements over the past 4 years of 3 different conservation areas coming to Southwold. That's unheard of. Mm-hmm. 2 of them will be accessible to the public. Deer Ridge is already accessible, and Talbotville, maybe you've walked down that path by now. And
I have.
We're very excited about 5 Maples and Shedden and what the opportunities will present there. That's really exciting because it's adjacent to, right, as close as you can get a conservation area, but it's right adjacent to 2 large developments.
Yeah, no, it's the one thing I find with Southwold is, especially when I've got a listing and I need some questions answered, the staff there are fantastic. They're right on top of everything. I got sewer plans. I had someone that just bought a home not long ago, right across the street, pretty much from your office, and obviously the grounds hadn't been dug up yet. So I called and went in and met with them. They gave me all the information I needed from my client, and she was content and loves being there. So it is great. So what services do you think are really important to attract young families to come to the township? Services,
schools.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we have 2 schools come to Talbotville, which will service all of Southwold. So that's a game changer. Council and staff have worked hard over the past close to 2 years with the school board to come up with a proper property. And someday down the road, there will be an announcement. But as to exactly where it is, I think people have kind of figured out where it might be. But
yeah,
until the school board's ready to announce, we can't really say anything. But that's very exciting. Our parklands, obviously, the amenities that we're hopefully going to see in the next 4 or 5 years start to show themselves with new business being given an opportunity to grow in Southwold, especially in Shedden. There hasn't been a lot for a long time, and with Heather Harris taking over Evelyn's and her vision and her actually staying in Southwold, because there was a time where she thought maybe she might have to go elsewhere, but staff worked hard to do what she needed for a production facility, which is almost done. And then once she got that up and starting to be built, she decided to buy the old fire hall of Talbotville because that's how badly she wants to stay in Shedden. But that only happens because of sewers.
Yeah.
If there's no sewers, that doesn't happen. And to have the restaurant as well go on the side, go along with her, that's just, you walk in there and the place is always hopped, and there's always people there having something to eat or having a coffee. And it's especially with all the construction around them and the big roadblocks out front, and they're still busy. And they didn't expect that. They thought it was going to be fairly slow for the next 2 or 3 months. And it hasn't been for.
Well, I guess we can kind of reroute here a little bit, because at the end of all my podcasts, every week I feature a small business, and it just so happens my small businesses of the week are the Old Station Kitchen and Evelyn's Sausage Kitchen. And I went down there yesterday for lunch, and it was spectacular. Yeah, it was so good. I had their smash burger. We had the boneless wings, and it was very, very good. And I know Evelyn's Sausage Kitchen, moved there just across the street pretty much into that building, and the kids run the place essentially now, which is fantastic to have somebody who started in grade 11 as a co-op student with Evelyn take over the company. It's pretty remarkable with the 3 boys, kind of running the show, and they just won the Impact Award for Best Business.
Yeah, that's right. The year before they won the competition for, what do you call that now? Can't even think.
Nice.
The pitch. That's it.
Okay. Yeah. She was filling me in about the new plant that they're opening up on the production plant on their property there on Talbotville yesterday when I was there. Yeah. The food was awesome. I've had their sausages numerous times. They're so good, but I wanted to go in and check out the new restaurant that the Streetery food truck, right?
Yeah.
they've opened that spot up, and the food was fantastic, and it was busy.
Yeah, it is. It's always busy. Yeah.
Yeah, when I was in there yesterday.
And actually, Pat Pell, the owner of the streetery and this restaurant, he grew up in Fingal and still lives in Fingal.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. So it's at 9579 Union Road for anybody that wants to pop in there. Just avoid taking Union Road to get there, I think.
Yeah. Yes. Coming on Talbot line.
Yeah, right now for sure. Now, what do you see Southwold looking like in 10 years?
That's the crystal ball. It all depends on the economy, right? And I think the province and the feds, more so the federal government, have a lot more to say about this than we do, really. I know with Talbotville, with the Meadows and DHP, the Reds, a lot of people came from St. Thomas, moving out a little bit away from the hubbub. London the same way. Some GTA area people. It was a good mix, and I expect that'll be the same. It would be nice when we have some rental apartments and condos for people to either come and start a family, or people to retire to a smaller property and still stay in the community they want to stay in. That's very exciting to me. That's something we've worked on a long, long time, and people have asked for a long time. So we're going to grow. That's obvious. We want to grow. We need to grow. Hopefully industry come to Talbotville and the Power Co. in St. Thomas. That's going to fuel a lot of the growth. We're London butts up against us, and City of St. Thomas butts up against us. We don't have a lot of options here. If you look at the other areas around London that I mentioned before, that the growth they've seen because of London, we just got to jump on board and hopefully produce some of our own industry. So that's a great tax advantage too for the rest of us. If the industry into the township is huge.
Yeah. Well, if residents in Southwold remember one thing from this interview, what would you like that message to be?
I think this council, and I hope future councils, still try to do the best to keep that small town feel, work with the developers to make something that's acceptable to all. I'd like to see the community get more involved in saying what they would like, because it's not going to stop. We know that. The way the rules read right now, developers have a lot more say than town council does. That's been a little bit of a thorn side of some lately, but it is what it is. That's just the way the rules read right now. Yeah. Regardless of what our official plan or zoning bylaw says, the province overrules. So, but yeah, it's going to be exciting. The possibilities of new Talbotville get closer and closer all the time with the growth. Fingal Shedden Fire Hall, we're putting an addition on that right now, partially because of growth, adding a bay for training, but eventually it could hold another truck as well. So.
Nice. Well, I really appreciate your time today. Hopefully the residents of Southwold Township will watch us on YouTube or listen on Spotify and Apple Podcast. But yeah, I appreciate you taking the time. I know how busy things are for you right now in Southwold. And
yeah, I appreciate you taking the time to actually sit down and talk. That was great.
That's great. So I end my podcast every episode with "Let's get closing." Thanks so much, Grant.
Well, thank you.